Have you ever wondered how magical our Earth truly is beneath the quiet rhythms of oceans and stars? As the night falls, let your thoughts drift like moonlight on still water, and let the noise of the day fade away. Tonight, we'll wander through Earth's gentle wonders, glowing seas, ageless jellyfish, hidden forests, and tiny travelers that survive the void of space. A planet humming with mystery that soothes the soul even as it stirs curiosity. Imagine a jellyfish that has learned to live forever. In the warm waters of the Mediterranean and across oceans worldwide, there drifts a small creature that dares to challenge one of nature's most immutable laws. The Turritopsis dohrnii, known as the immortal jellyfish, possesses an astonishing power. When injured, threatened, or simply aged, it can turn back the clock on its own body, transforming itself from adult to youth once more. Like a butterfly returning to its caterpillar stage, it retreats to its polyp form, the jellyfish's version of childhood, and begins again. This isn't mythology, it's observation, seen again and again in laboratories. This creature can repeat the cycle endlessly, unless something ends it first. It doesn't grant humans immortality, but it reminds us that nature's imagination is far wilder than ours. Here, drifting silently in the depths, is an organism that literally rewinds time. Now, shift your gaze to the forest. Beneath the stillness of its floor, a hidden conversation is happening. Trees, once thought to be isolated giants, are, in truth, linked together through intricate fungal threads called mycorrhizae. Through these microscopic filaments, trees trade nutrients, exchange messages, and even send warnings when pests or drought approach. The elders of the forest, what some call mother trees, nourish the younger ones, passing sugars and minerals through this unseen network. This is not metaphor, but biology. The system is so complex, some scientists have named it the wood wide web. A birch may support a fir nearby. A dying tree may send its final energy to sustain others. It's not consciousness, but it is cooperation on a scale so profound, it reshapes how we define intelligence. In this silent world of roots and fungi, the forest is no longer a collection of individuals, but one living, breathing community. And far smaller than any tree or jellyfish are the tardigrades, microscopic creatures less than a millimeter long, looking like tiny, wrinkled, eight-legged gummy bears. But appearances deceive. These beings can endure what almost nothing else can. Freezing near absolute zero, boiling heat, crushing pressure, deadly radiation, even the emptiness of space. In 2007, scientists launched them into orbit and they came back alive. Their trick lies in a state called cryptobiosis. They dry out completely, shut down their metabolism, and simply wait. Not dead, just paused, sometimes for years, until water returns and life resumes. Tardigrades remind me that life is tougher, stranger, and more adaptable than we ever dared believe, even when it's drifting among the stars. Once upon a time, oxygen itself was a deadly poison. Right now, with every breath I take, I'm inhaling something that once nearly wiped the slate clean of life on Earth. Billions of years ago, oxygen wasn't the stuff of life. It was poison. Back then, the planet was ruled by tiny microbes that flourished in an atmosphere completely devoid of it. These ancient anaerobes were Earth's original citizens. Then along came cyanobacteria, little architects of change, quietly releasing oxygen as a waste product of photosynthesis. At first, it was barely a whisper in the air, but time has a way of turning whispers into revolutions. Over millions of years, oxygen began to fill the oceans and sky, igniting what we now call the Great Oxidation Event. For many of those early organisms, this new molecule was deadly. Oxygen tore through their cells, disrupting chemistry that had once been stable, and entire species vanished. Yet, for others, It became the foundation of a new energy system, one that eventually powered multicellular life and ultimately us. The very air that keeps me alive carries the memory of a planetary extinction. Oxygen gives life, but every breath is a reminder of its turbulent past. Now consider this. Some plants are predators. We tend to think of plants as calm, quiet, and patient beings, content to bask in the sunlight. But in the hidden corners of the natural world, a few have taken a darker path. Carnivorous plants like the Venus flytrap, the pitcher plant, and the sundew have evolved a taste for flesh. The Venus flytrap waits, counting the footsteps of its victim, closing only after feeling multiple touches. Pitcher plants form deep, glossy wells filled with digestive liquid, where the unwary slip and never return. The sundew, glistening like morning dew, curls its sticky arms around the captured prey in a slow, deliberate embrace. Why go to such lengths? Because these plants live where the soil is barren, where nitrogen is scarce. So they innovate not with fangs or claws, but with strategy and patience. In their silent way, they remind me that evolution rewards creativity, and that survival often hides behind the gentlest facade. Hold a leaf in your hand and look closer. You're not just holding a piece of a plant, you're holding a micro-engineered masterpiece. Each leaf is unique, a fingerprint of life. When I lift one to the light, I see a quiet miracle of design. Beneath its softness lies an intricate web of veins, branching like rivers through a landscape, carrying water and nutrients to every cell. The surface breathes through microscopic pores called stomata, tiny valves that open and close to trade carbon dioxide for oxygen. Inside, chlorophyll captures sunlight, turning it into chemical energy, not just for the plant, but for nearly everything alive. Some leaves follow the sun's path across the sky, others repel water, trap insects, or store warmth. No two are exactly alike, yet each serves its purpose with elegance. A leaf is fragile, but within its thin green skin, life's grand machinery hums with purpose and grace. And then there are oceans that glow. Picture walking along a moonless beach, the surf rolling in with waves that shimmer in ghostly blue-green light. It feels almost supernatural, but it's pure science. That glow comes from microscopic organisms called bioluminescent plankton. When stirred by motion, they release a flash of light, a biological spark born from chemistry, the same reaction that lets fireflies glow on a summer night. In places like Mosquito Bay in Puerto Rico or the lagoons of the Maldives, entire shorelines can glitter like liquid stars. No electricity, no fantasy, just evolution at work. Bioluminescence has appeared many times throughout Earth's history, serving purposes from disguise to attraction to communication. And as I stand at the edge of that glowing tide, I'm reminded that even in darkness, life finds its way to shine. Finally, let's talk about you, or rather, what makes you you. You might think of yourself as a single human being, one body under one mind, but you're actually a walking ecosystem. Your body carries more microbial cells than human ones, a teeming population of bacteria, viruses, fungi, and archaea living on your skin, in your mouth, and deep inside your gut. Together, they form your microbiome. And they're not passengers, they're partners. They digest your food, train your immune system, manufacture vitamins, and even influence your thoughts and moods. In many ways, this invisible community is an extension of your own intelligence, a network working in harmony with you. So while I breathe, move, and think as one person, I'm really a collective, a living collaboration of species that together call themselves human. Some microbes defend you while others battle against invaders. And just like no two fingerprints are identical, your microbiome is distinctly your own. So the next time loneliness creeps in, remember, you are never truly alone. You are a living planet, a universe contained within skin and bone. Ants, for example, can build bridges from their very bodies. In the jungles of South America, armies of ants surge through the undergrowth, moving like a river made of life. When they encounter a gap, they don't hesitate. They construct bridges out of themselves. One ant fastens to a branch, another climbs atop it, then another and another, until a structure takes shape, alive, resilient, and adaptive. Thousands link together, adjusting in real time to the pressure of their marching colony. When the crossing ends, the bridge dissolves, each ant returning to the flow. There is no leader directing this. It's a spontaneous pattern, emerging from countless simple interactions, each ant guided by touch and instinct. What we see is not command, but collaboration, a living architecture born of collective intelligence. Deep beneath the waves, the octopus drifts like a thought in motion, its skin shifting color and form as it studies its world with alien precision. It is already among the most intelligent beings on this planet, yet its biology hides a stranger truth. Octopuses can rewrite their own RNA, the molecular translator between DNA and life itself. While most creatures stay faithful to the genetic code they inherit, the octopus edits its instructions on the fly, adjusting how its neurons fire, how it senses its surroundings, how it adapts to temperature or stress. It doesn't alter its DNA, but it can remix the expression of it, sculpting itself to fit the moment. We still don't know exactly why or how it does this, but it reminds us that intelligence isn't just about thought, it's about flexibility. The octopus bends not only its body, but its very biology, a reminder that evolution is as creative as it is mysterious. Some creatures seem to know themselves. Many can see their reflection, yet only a few recognize it. Self-awareness in nature is rare, a flicker of consciousness reflected in the mirror test. In that experiment, an animal is marked with a spot it can't see directly. If it investigates that mark while gazing at its reflection, we infer that it recognizes its own image. Only a small circle of species have passed this test, including great apes, dolphins, elephants, magpies, and possibly manta rays. Even certain fish show hints of awareness. This doesn't mean they experience the world as we do, but it suggests that self-recognition isn't an exclusively human trait. The spark of identity may glow within minds, very different from ours. Across the vast web of life, the line between self and other may be far blurrier than we once believed. Life on Earth has endured 5 mass extinctions. Over 500 million years, catastrophe after catastrophe has struck, erasing most of what was alive each time. The Permian extinction destroyed over 90% of marine life and 70% of land species. Volcanoes erupted, climate shifted, asteroids struck, and yet life returned. Not the same life, but something renewed. The wreckage survivors gave rise to new forms, new lineages. It's a quiet declaration of nature's resilience. Life doesn't merely persist, it transforms. It learns, evolves, and rebuilds. We are descendants of those survivors, heirs to an unbroken chain of endurance, stretching through darkness and disaster, carried forward by biology's stubborn will to continue. In the shadows of a forest, another drama unfolds, one that turns horror into biology. Certain fungi, like Ophiocordyceps, infect insects such as ants, slipping into their bodies and taking control of their nervous systems. Once possessed, the ant climbs upward, grips a leaf, and freezes. The fungus kills it, then bursts forth from its body, scattering spores to begin the cycle anew. It's a masterpiece of biological manipulation, terrifyingly precise and honed over millions of years. We still don't understand how such control is possible, but it reveals something extraordinary, that even the smallest organisms wield immense influence. The forest is not a peaceful world, but a battlefield of strategy and adaptation, where every living thing plays its part in the endless experiment of survival. Blue, that color so familiar to our eyes, is one of nature's rarest tricks. Take a moment to look around. The vast sky, the deep ocean, the shimmer of butterfly wings, all draped in blue. Yet the irony is that true blue pigment almost doesn't exist in the natural world. Most of what we see isn't pigment at all. It's physics. Birds like the blue jay, butterflies like the morpho, even the proud peacock owe their color to structure, not dye. Their microscopic surfaces bend and scatter light in just the right way to send blue wavelengths toward our eyes. We call it structural coloration, a phenomenon that turns biology into an artist and light into its paintbrush. Making blue pigment is hard work for living organisms, and only a few have ever pulled it off. So each time you see blue in nature, you're witnessing an illusion, a partnership between light and the fine geometry of life itself. What you're really seeing is light performing a delicate dance between physics and biology. Elephants grieve their dead. Out in the savannah, among the dry grass and red dust, these enormous creatures reveal something almost human. When one encounters the bones of a fallen friend, it pauses, slows its steps, touches the remains with its trunk, and stays. Some return years later, drawn back to the same place, as if memory itself is calling. Others stand guard beside the dying, unwilling to walk away. Their sorrow may not mirror ours exactly, but it carries weight, a depth of feeling that speaks of memory, of loyalty, of loss. Families of elephants share bonds that endure across time, and in their quiet mourning we glimpse something universal, something that humbles us, the truth that empathy and love are not our exclusive domain. Within their massive hearts beats an ancient awareness, a recognition that life is both precious and fleeting. Now imagine coral reefs, those dazzling underwater metropolises. They aren't built by plants or stone, but by tiny animals called polyps. Each one extends small tentacles to feed on drifting plankton, then secretes calcium carbonate to build its home. Over countless generations, those homes stack and harden into massive reefs that stretch for hundreds of miles. Within their walls, life explodes into abundance. Fish, crabs, turtles, mollusks, creatures of every shape and color. Coral reefs cover less than 1% of the ocean floor, yet they sustain nearly a quarter of all marine species. They are the living cities of the sea, built not by intention but by patient persistence, by the collective labor of millions of tiny architects. Fragile and luminous, these reefs remind me how the smallest hands can raise the grandest structures, and how easily such beauty can vanish. And then there's the slime mold, an organism that looks like it stumbled out of a science fiction film. It has no brain, no nerves, and yet it can solve mazes. In laboratories, scientists place food at 2 exits and watch as the slime mold spreads across the maze, retracts, and finally leaves behind the most efficient route. It doesn't think, at least not the way we do, but it computes through chemistry using gradients and feedback loops to navigate its world. This humble organism has even been used to model human transportation systems, revealing eerie parallels between our engineered designs and nature's instinctive logic. Intelligence, it seems, is not confined to brains, but emerges wherever matter interacts with information. Finally, the Amazon, that vast green lung of Earth, doesn't merely receive rain, it makes it. Every day, sunlight warms billions of leaves, and those trees release moisture into the sky through transpiration. The vapor rises, cools, condenses, and returns as rain, feeding the forest that created it. This feedback loop is one of nature's grandest symphonies, a system so immense it shapes the climate of an entire continent and even influences weather across the ocean. The Amazon is not just alive, it is self-sustaining, a planetary machine built of trees, water, and air, reminding us that the Earth itself is not a passive world, but a living, breathing organism. The forest is not merely a cluster of trees, but a living, breathing organism on a planetary scale. When parts of it vanish through deforestation or fire, the entire cycle falters, rainfall diminishes, and drought reaches further than before. The Amazon is often called the lungs of the earth, yet I see it as the heart that drives the atmosphere of South America, pumping vapor, breath, and vitality into the sky itself. Some frogs achieve what seems impossible. During the frozen silence of winter, a few species literally turn to ice. The wood frog of North America can endure this suspended animation for days, even weeks. Its heart stops, blood crystallizes, organs shut down, and the body becomes rigid. Yet hidden within that stillness are antifreeze compounds, natural protectors that keep its cells from destruction. When spring warms the world again, the ice melts, the heart resumes, and the frog leaps back into life as though death had only been a brief pause. It is not a metaphor. It is cryogenic survival perfected by evolution, and scientists study these frogs to uncover how life endures extremes, and perhaps how human tissues might one day do the same. For now, they remain nature's quiet miracles, small beings that outlast winter's grasp, awakening heartbeat by heartbeat. Beneath the ocean's surface, other wonders unfold. Whales send songs through the darkness, long, slow, and resonant. The calls of blue whales can cross entire oceans, low-frequency voices among the loudest ever produced by any creature. In those silent depths, their music echoes from one shore to another. They use these sounds to communicate, to navigate, to find one another across vast distances. Each population carries its own dialect, songs that evolve through generations like stories passed down by memory. Humpbacks compose intricate melodies, reshaping them year by year, each whale adding new notes to the ocean's symphony. We may not yet decipher their language, but we know it has meaning. These are not random sounds, but messages traded across a liquid planet by beings whose lineage predates humanity's first thought. Seeds, too, hold the blueprint of endurance. They are tiny vessels of time, seemingly lifeless, yet carrying all that life needs to begin again. Some lie dormant for centuries, waiting for the perfect convergence of warmth and moisture. One seed of a date palm, buried for 2,000 years, was brought back to life in modern times. It had slept through empires and eras of silence, only to awaken and grow when given the right conditions. Seeds can survive fire, frost, or the weight of the earth above them, shielded by protective coats and sensitive chemistry that listens to the rhythms of the world. When the time is right, they rise. Each one is a quiet promise that life can wait, persist, and return. A small stillness holding the future in its shell. Then there is light born from life itself. Bioluminescence has evolved more than 40 times across Earth's history. Fireflies, plankton, and deep-sea creatures all wield their own glow. These are not reflections, but creations. Light crafted through elegant chemistry. An enzyme called luciferase reacts with a molecule known as luciferin, releasing energy as light, pure, and silent. From the deepest oceans to forest floors, organisms have found reasons to shine, to lure, to warn, to attract, to disappear. In the dark waters where sunlight never reaches, bioluminescence becomes a drifting constellation of living stars, each flicker a message in a shared cosmic language. And finally, our own bodies tell a story written in the stars. The calcium in our bones, the iron in our blood, the very atoms that shape us, were forged in ancient stellar furnaces. When massive stars reached the end of their lives, they exploded, scattering these elements across the galaxy. Over eons, the remnants gathered again, drawn together by gravity, and from that dust, we emerged. To stand here is to stand as a continuation of that cosmic process, a fragment of the universe made aware of itself. Planets emerge, oceans swell, and somewhere in the vast expanse, on a tiny blue speck adrift in cosmic darkness, life takes its first breath. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the carbon that shapes your cells, the oxygen you draw into your lungs, all of it forged in the fiery hearts of long-dead stars. You don't merely inhabit the universe, you are the universe, arranged in a form capable of thinking, breathing, and marveling at itself. Every step you take on this planet is stardust, walking upon a world sculpted by light and time. Some insects perceive what to us is invisible. When you gaze at a flower, perhaps you see yellow or red or blue. But to a bee, that same bloom becomes something entirely different. Their eyes can sense ultraviolet light, a portion of the spectrum beyond human vision. To them, those ordinary petals blaze with signals, radiant pathways, and luminous targets, each guiding them straight to the nectar. These patterns aren't mere decoration. They are evolutionary communication, a deal struck through time. The flower offers its sweetness, the bee delivers pollination, other insects use ultraviolet sight to navigate their world, to find mates, to spot danger. Even the cabbage butterfly lives within a palette of light we cannot fathom. So while we all share this planet, our experiences of it differ profoundly. There's an unseen universe of color around us, a silent conversation in wavelengths our eyes will never catch. Deep in the rugged heart of Australia, kangaroos possess a secret of their own, the power to press pause on life itself. When food is scarce, or when another joey already occupies the pouch, a mother kangaroo can halt the development of a fertilized egg. Scientists call it embryonic diapause. It's as if nature built her a waiting room within her body. She may have one joey hopping about, one nestled in her pouch, and another held in suspended animation, all at once. When the moment is right, when the land softens and grass returns, the embryo awakens, continuing its journey. In a land ruled by extremes, this adaptation is genius, giving kangaroos mastery over time itself, a biological clock tuned to survival. In the shimmering realm of coral reefs, some fish reveal yet another marvel, the ability to change their very identity. Take the clownfish. They live in tight social orders, where the largest is female and the next in line is her mate. If she dies, he doesn't just take her place, he becomes her, transforming both body and role. In other species, like wrasses, the transformation runs the other way, females becoming males when the dominant male vanishes, hormones shift, organs reform, and behavior rewrites itself. It's a profound reminder that in the ocean, identity isn't rigid. It flows with circumstance, need, and chance. Life there is liquid in every sense, adaptive, dynamic, endlessly inventive. Every year, birds traverse the globe, crossing oceans, mountains, and continents to return to the same patch of Earth as though guided by magic. But it isn't magic. It's physics intertwined with biology. Within their heads lie tiny crystals of magnetite, miniature compasses tuned to Earth's magnetic field. Some may even see this field itself, perceiving invisible patterns across the sky through specialized proteins in their eyes. This sense, called magnetoception, works with sunlight, starlight, and landmarks to guide them unerringly home. Though we still don't grasp every detail, one truth stands clear. They navigate by feeling the unseen forces that embrace our planet. And the planet itself, it breathes. Its respiration is the carbon cycle, a slow, continuous exchange that threads through air, water, soil, and living things. Every exhale you make sends carbon back into the atmosphere. Every leaf that unfolds takes it in, building life from sunlight. Animals consume those plants, and the carbon moves onward in an endless rhythm that keeps the world alive. Decomposers take what remains and return it to the system. Volcanoes breathe it out in fire and ash. Oceans drink it in, storing it for a time. Some of that carbon sinks deep and becomes fuel for future fires, some hardens into stone, and some hangs suspended in the air. This constant planetary trade keeps our climate in check, sustains life, and sculpts the very structure of ecosystems. It's a rhythm that pulses not only through centuries, but through the vast timeline of Earth itself. Right now, that rhythm is off balance, disrupted by our own hands. When I look at this cycle, I see Earth not as a still marble in space, but as something alive, inhaling and exhaling, creating and decaying, light and shadow in endless motion. A planet that lives and breathes quietly in the cosmic dark Long before trees, animals, or even oxygen filled the sky, there were bacteria. They were the architects of the first world we could walk on. Some of these tiny beings built monuments that endure even now. Stromatolites, those layered rock-like formations found in shallow seas across the globe, were shaped by cyanobacteria, ancient microbes that slowly trapped and cemented sediments one delicate layer at a time. Fossilized stromatolites, more than 3.5 billion years old, marked the earliest chapters of life's story. Through their work, oxygen began to fill the air, transforming the planet and setting the stage for everything that would follow. Even today, in places like Shark Bay, Australia, living stromatolites still rise from the water, silent and patient. They stand as memorials to the first engineers of Earth, builders without sight or tools, microscopic yet monumental. From their quiet labor came the possibility of us all. And beneath the waves, another kind of intelligence hums. Dolphins call to each other in songs of clicks and whistles, weaving a tapestry of sound in the blue. But among those sounds lies something astonishing, a name. Each dolphin crafts its own unique whistle early in life, its personal signature in the water. Others learn it, remember it, and use it to call to that individual, not by imitation, but by recognition. When scientists played a dolphin's own callback to it, the response was immediate, like a person turning when they hear their name. This points to a kind of self-awareness, a social memory that echoes our own. In their shifting pods, dolphins rely on identity to hold their communities together, to remember, to navigate their complex social lives. Down in the deep, their language ripples, offering us a glimpse of where the roots of communication might have begun. Once, the Sahara was not a desert but a paradise. Today, it's a golden expanse of heat and silence, but a few thousand years ago, it was green and alive. Between 6 and 8 millennia passed. Rains fell across its lands, rivers carved paths through the soil, and lakes glittered beneath the sunday. Elephants and giraffes walked among the grasslands, crocodiles slid through the water, and humans painted the abundance of life onto cave walls. This era, the African humid period, was born from subtle changes in Earth's orbit that shifted the rhythm of the monsoons. But time moved on, the rains receded, and the desert reclaimed its throne. Beneath those endless dunes, though, rest the bones of ancient lakes, the ghosts of forests, and traces of a fertile world. The Sahara is not just barren land, it's the planet's memory, whispering that even the most desolate places were once full of life, and could be again. And then there are bees, tiny creatures humming across our fields, pollinating the life we depend on. Yet within those small minds lies a spark of abstraction. They seem to understand zero. In experiments, when bees were trained to link fewer shapes with a sweet reward, they learned something extraordinary. Given a choice between a blank card and one with marks, they chose the blank, recognizing that nothing is less than something. This simple yet profound grasp of zero, shared by only a few creatures like chimpanzees, dolphins, and parrots, tells us that intelligence takes many forms. Some so small, we might overlook them until science teaches us to see that bees, with their minuscule brains, can manage such feats is nothing short of astonishing. It points to an intelligence sculpted not by size, but by purpose and evolution's quiet patience. Within a hive, thousands of tiny minds act in harmony, as if guided by a single thought. Yet even one bee, on its own, is a marvel of nature, small in form, vast in complexity, a whispering hum powered by brilliance. When wolves returned to Yellowstone in the 1,990 seconds, something extraordinary unfolded. These predators did more than influence the deer population. They redefined the landscape itself. With fewer grazers, the riverbanks began to heal. Trees reached skyward again. Shrubs thickened. Birds nested. And beavers returned to build their dams. The recovering vegetation held the soil in place, shifting the rhythm of rivers until they flowed with newfound stability. This chain reaction, known as a trophic cascade, reveals how the presence of one species can transform an entire ecosystem. The wolves, simply by being wolves, sent ripples through the land that reshaped forests, rivers, and life itself. It's a profound reminder that the web of nature is woven tighter than we ever imagined. Every living thing, no matter how small, has its note in the grand symphony. In the haunting call of the wolf, the earth itself begins to mend. Even flowers, those seemingly silent and still creations, are listening. Some can sense the buzz of bees. When a pollinator draws near, the vibrations from its wings trigger the flower to sweeten its nectar within minutes. The flower has no ears, yet its petals respond to sound, trembling to the tune of certain frequencies. This is no coincidence. It's strategy. By offering richer nectar precisely when a bee arrives, the plant maximizes its chance to reproduce. It's a conversation, delicate and fleeting. The bee hums its arrival, and the flower answers in sweetness. This acoustic dialogue reveals a new dimension of awareness, showing that even without nerves or brains, plants perceive and react. The garden, far from silent, hums with life's invisible exchanges. And then there are lichens, nature's quiet collaborations. On stones, bark, and cliffs, they appear as modest patches of color. But look closer, and the truth emerges. They are not one organism, but two, sometimes more. A fungus and an alga, or cyanobacterium, bound in partnership. The fungus offers shelter, while its companion captures sunlight to make food. Together, they endure where neither could alone, from frozen tundra to arid desert. Their relationship isn't always gentle. The fungus can dominate, molding its partner to its will. Yet the result is astonishing resilience, a hybrid life form that can carve existence out of stone. Lichens are ancient architects of ecosystems, breaking rock into soil, feeding others, and shaping habitats. Two species, one existence, written quietly across the face of the planet. And then there are the tardigrades, or water bears, those microscopic, pudgy wonders of endurance. They've survived the vacuum of space and laugh in the face of extremes: freezing cold, searing heat, crushing pressure, and deadly radiation. Found in ice, oceans, and mountaintops, they embody persistence itself. When the world turns hostile, a water bear simply folds in on itself, entering a dormant form called a ton, pausing life's processes almost completely. In that suspended state, it can endure for decades, maybe centuries. Some believe these creatures could outlast mass extinctions, surviving cataclysms that would erase nearly all other life. Not immortal, but remarkably ready, the tardigrade waits in stillness, ancient and unyielding. And then deep beneath the earth live the naked mole rats, creatures so odd and remarkable they seem to bend the rules of biology. Wrinkled, hairless, and nearly blind, they age differently from almost every other mammal. Their risk of death doesn't climb with time. They resist cancer, thrive in low oxygen, and can live up to 30 years, an eternity for a rodent. Their cells stay stable, their proteins resist decay, and a 5-year-old looks much like it did at 5, at least on the inside. They live in structured colonies ruled by a single breeding queen, echoing the social order of insects. Scientists study them as clues to longevity, resilience, and the secrets of enduring life. In those dark tunnels, these creatures go about their business, fragile yet extraordinary, holding within them lessons that could one day illuminate our own biology. And at last, there's us. The human body is a universe of about 30 trillion cells, each performing its part in a cosmic dance. Every heartbeat, every breath, every thought is the symphony of countless microscopic lives. We are quite literally stardust that learn to wonder. Every type of cell in your body plays its own part. Muscles tighten with intention. Neurons spark with thought. Red blood cells ferry oxygen through your veins. Skin renews itself. Your gut breaks down what sustains you. And immune cells stand guard. Together they create a single organism, a unified you, built from a billion tiny lives working in concert. And make no mistake, you are never still. Cells die and are replaced. Structures rebuild. Systems refresh. Every day you remake yourself, molecule by molecule. You are not fixed. You are movement, harmony, and coordination embodied. Even as you lie still, millions of cells labor quietly, sustaining the miracle of your existence. You are not an individual thing, but an ecosystem, a living symphony murmuring beneath your skin. Consider the parrot. It's not just a creature of color and mimicry. Some parrots can match wits with a human toddler. They talk, play, and scheme. The African gray, for example, can count, understand concepts like same and different, even grasp the idea of zero. One remarkable bird named Alex could name colors, shapes, and numbers, ask for what he wanted, show annoyance, and answer intricate questions. In some ways, he matched or exceeded human children in cognitive tasks. Parrots in the wild use that same intelligence to solve problems, navigate social hierarchies, and even wield tools. Their brains may be built differently, but evolution crafted a similar brilliance. When a parrot speaks, it might not be repeating, it might be thinking. Beneath those bright feathers lies a brighter mind, one that challenges our notion of what it means to be smart. Now think of the ocean. We live above it, but most life on Earth thrives within it. The sea blankets more than 70% of the planet and holds the vast majority of its living mass. From microscopic plankton to immense whales, from glowing jellies to forests of kelp, life there flourishes in uncountable diversity. Coral reefs, open waters, abyssal plains, each shelters a world of its own. Even a single drop of seawater teems with thousands of invisible organisms. We've barely begun to explore it. Much remains untouched, unseen, alive in the dark. The ocean isn't empty, it's abundant, a living cosmos beneath the waves. The greatest wilderness on Earth is not green, it's blue. And then there's a forest that's really one being. In a quiet part of Utah stands an organism called Pando, a grove of quaking aspens that all share the same root system. What looks like countless trees is in fact one living individual, perhaps 80,000 years old. It doesn't spread through seeds, but through shoots rising from a shared underground network. Each trunk dies, and another takes its place, but the root endures, surviving ice, ages, and storms. A forest that's also a single organism, ancient yet alive, anchored to the earth and forever reaching for the light. Even viruses, so often cast as villains, can play vital roles. Not all cause disease. Some help maintain balance within us, targeting harmful bacteria in the gut. Others shape evolution itself, embedding useful bits of DNA into our genomes or influencing how genes express. Some even help our cells adapt to stress. Life, it seems, has a way of turning even its smallest troublemakers into collaborators. Roughly 8% of the human genome carries traces of ancient viral DNA, relics passed from one generation to the next for millions of years. Some of those viral sequences have been repurposed by evolution, now playing key roles in everything from brain formation to reproduction. So viruses aren't just hostile invaders, they're part of the very story of life itself, woven into our biological fabric, shaping what we are and what we may yet become. They are the ghosts of infections past, but also the architects of possibility. Consider sharks, often portrayed as sleek and lethal modern predators, yet their lineage stretches back more than 400 million years. Trees, by contrast, appeared about 350 million years ago, which means sharks were cruising the oceans before a single leaf ever cast shade upon the land. They have endured 5 mass extinctions, even the one that erased the dinosaurs. Their design has remained remarkably consistent, a model so effective that evolution itself found little reason to alter it. Today, we see sharks in countless forms, from the gentle giants that filter plankton to the bizarre lantern sharks of the deep. Each one is a living monument to time, moving silently through the water with the grace of ages. Now imagine a rainforest. It doesn't merely respond to the weather, it makes its own. Trees draw water from the earth and release it into the air through their leaves, a process called transpiration. That vapor rises, condenses, and forms clouds. In places like the Amazon, this endless cycle of water fuels rainfall across vast regions. When the forest thrives, it maintains its own climate. But when trees vanish, the system falters, moisture declines, clouds thin, and rain diminishes until the forest itself begins to collapse. A rainforest is not a passive backdrop, it's a living engine breathing out clouds, mist, and life. Stand beneath its canopy, and you stand within the lungs of a continent. In the shallows, another kind of ingenuity unfolds. Some crabs craft their own disguises by attaching bits of algae, seaweed, and living sponges to their shells. These decorated crabs don't just hide in their environment, they merge with it. When they carry living sponges, those sponges keep growing as the crab moves, offering camouflage and even chemical protection by releasing toxins that make the crab less appealing to predators. It's not full symbiosis, but it's close, a collaboration between two forms of life. Picture it, a wandering reef, a creature wearing the ocean itself as a costume, a quiet artist of disguise. And then there are insects, the true rulers of Earth. For every human, there are roughly 200 million of them. They occupy every habitat, from tropical canopies to frozen tundra, from deserts to shorelines. Beetles alone account for nearly a quarter of all known animal species. They pollinate our crops, recycle nutrients, decompose waste, and feed entire food webs. They've survived every mass extinction, some living mere minutes, others for years, building complex societies, waging battles, and evolving endless adaptations. They may be small, but they shape the world in ways we barely perceive. We may think we dominate the planet, but the insects were here first, and they'll be here long after we're gone. Finally, in the rainforests of New Guinea and its neighboring islands, birds of paradise turn courtship into spectacle. Their feathers gleam with impossible hues, metallic blues, fiery oranges, deep velvety blacks. Some wear streaming plumes, others display fans or long trailing wires. But beauty alone isn't the message. Each bird performs a dance, choreographed to perfection, unique to its species. They hop, spin, bow, and pose, synchronized with clicks, whistles, and fluttering wings. In their movements, nature reveals one of its most dazzling truths, that life doesn't just survive, it performs. From above, females watch carefully, choosing their partners based on how well they perform. This relentless selection pressure has sculpted some of the most extravagant features in the animal world. Every display, every movement carries a silent story of patience, of confidence, and of life's unbounded imagination. In these courtship dances, I see evolution's taste for drama and nature's deep affection for spectacle. Spiders, meanwhile, work with a substance that defies expectation. In the quiet corners of attics, on branches and along fences, they pull from their own bodies a thread of astonishing strength. Gram for gram, spider silk surpasses steel in tensile power while remaining remarkably flexible. It stretches without snapping, soaks up energy like a shock absorber, and weaves itself into webs, nets, and egg cases of exquisite complexity. Each filament is a masterpiece of protein engineering organized with atomic-level precision. Different spiders produce different silks for different needs, some sticky, some smooth, others tough or soft. A few even spin silk while underwater or drifting through the air. Scientists look to this natural wonder for breakthroughs in medicine, armor, and lightweight design. But for now, the spider continues its silent craft, spinning miracles in solitude, one gleaming thread after another. Fireflies speak a language of light. On warm summer nights, their glow punctuates the darkness with silent messages. These tiny lanterns, known as lightning bugs, communicate through bioluminescent rhythms that differ by species, region, and sex. Males cruise the air, pulsing in coded beats, while females reply from the grass or trees in perfectly timed response. It's a love story written in flashes. Some blink slowly, others in rapid bursts. A few radiate with a soft, unbroken glow. Within their abdomens, chemistry becomes poetry as luciferin reacts with oxygen to create a cold light that wastes no heat. It's one of nature's most mesmerizing conversations. Yet, these lights also warn predators away, for some species taste unpleasant or contain mild toxins. Their glow becomes both beauty and defense, a living code of light dancing across the night. And deep in the forests of Africa and South America, monkeys have discovered their own form of medicine. When ill or injured, some primates turn to plants not for food, but for healing. I've read how chimpanzees and others will deliberately chew the pith of bitter stems, swallow rough leaves whole, or rub select substances onto their skin. Many of these plants harbor antibacterial, antifungal, or antiparasitic powers. A chimpanzee troubled by intestinal worms, for example, may eat bitter leaves, known to expel them. They do this only when symptoms appear, a behavior scientists call zoopharmacognosy, the animal's version of self-medication. It challenges the notion that only humans understand remedies. Whether this knowledge is instinct, tradition, or both, it hints at an intelligence quietly alive in the forest, an ancient pharmacy waiting among the leaves. Every breath I take, every one you take, owes a debt not only to trees, but to the ocean. Tiny drifters called phytoplankton float near the sea's surface, capturing sunlight, consuming carbon dioxide, and releasing oxygen. Despite their size, these microscopic algae generate more than half of all the oxygen that fills our lungs. They form the unseen base of marine life, feeding creatures from krill to whales. Yet their role doesn't stop there. They help maintain the delicate balance of gases in our atmosphere. Without them, both climate and life itself would be forever changed. Phytoplankton respond to the rhythm of temperature, ocean currents, and nutrients, and they're exquisitely sensitive to the ocean's shifting moods. You can't see them from the shore, yet they fill the seas like invisible constellations beneath the waves. When you exhale, remember that the ocean exhales too, its breath mingling with yours in a grand planetary cycle. Crows, on the other hand, live with an awareness we often overlook. In the quiet corners of forests and city streets, they carry out their lives with intention and a kind of foresight that borders on the astonishing. Members of the corvid family, these birds stash away tools for later use, hide food in secret places, and even engage in trades for better rewards. In controlled studies, crows have been known to turn down a quick snack if it means earning something more valuable in the future. They've turned sticks into spears, shaped wires into hooks, and shown a grasp of cause and effect that rivals primates. Some even recognize human faces, remembering friends and enemies for years. With brains far smaller than ours, they demonstrate intelligence that challenges our definition of it. They don't merely react, they anticipate. They are strategists wrapped in feathers, always watching, learning, remembering. Now consider the snake. For some of these creatures, vision extends beyond light itself. Pit vipers, pythons, and boas possess specialized pit organs on their faces that can detect heat. These organs read infrared radiation, allowing them to sense the warmth of prey in complete darkness. The image they perceive isn't one of color and light, but of glowing silhouettes, warm bodies outlined against the cooler world. This adaptation gives them extraordinary precision when hunting under the cover of night. It isn't magic, it's physics intertwined with biology, a perfect marriage of evolution and necessity. Some researchers call it a sixth sense, a view of the world not through brightness, but through heat, a reminder that each species perceives reality through its own evolutionary lens, shaped entirely by survival. Far to the north, the Arctic tundra sleeps beneath ice and silence for most of the year. Then, suddenly, summer arrives, fleeting yet fierce, and everything awakens. Within days, the frozen ground softens, the sun lingers in the sky, and the land bursts into color. Flowers bloom, mosses spread, insects hum, birds return, mammals raise their young. Every heartbeat of the tundra happens in a compressed span, sometimes only 8 weeks before the deep freeze returns. It's not a slow stirring, but a cosmic explosion of life, a grand expression of timing and energy. The tundra may be still for much of the year, but when the moment comes, it seizes it completely, keeping rhythm with the eternal dance of the Sunday. And in the dense rainforest, a story of chilling complexity unfolds. A parasitic fungus called Ophiocordyceps unilateralis invades an ant's body, commandeering its mind. Still alive, the ant leaves its colony, climbs upward, and locks its jaws onto a leaf or twig. The fungus grows within, then erupts through the ant's head, scattering spores to infect others. It sounds like horror fiction, yet it's pure biology honed over millions of years. It's unsettling, yes, but also a breathtaking example of evolution's reach, shaping behavior in ways both beautiful and terrifying. The forest holds light and darkness in equal measure, and sometimes the smallest beings wield the greatest influence. At the bottom of the sea lies another marvel, the sea cucumber, a creature that can quite literally turn to liquid. It doesn't look impressive at first glance, a simple, soft-bodied invertebrate resting on the ocean floor. But when danger looms or a tight passage must be navigated, it changes its very consistency. By rearranging the proteins in its connective tissue, it can transform from firm to fluid in moments, slipping through cracks with ease, then solidifying again. It's a quiet mastery of physics and biology, a reminder that survival often lies not in strength, but in adaptability. Some creatures have evolved defenses that seem to defy logic. Imagine an animal ejecting its own organs to survive, only to grow them back later. That's not science fiction, that's biology in full creative mode. It's a shapeshift without skeletons, muscles, or any hint of conscious design, soft, quiet, yet astonishingly alive. In the slow dance of the ocean, the sea cucumber glides, dissolving and reassembling like water sculpting itself into form. Meanwhile, in the Antarctic deep, ice fish are rewriting the rules of what it means to live in the cold. In waters so frigid that most creatures would freeze solid, these fish flow freely. Their secret is chemistry, not warmth. Within their blood, antifreeze proteins cling to microscopic ice crystals, stopping them from expanding, a molecular shield against the deep freeze. But that's only part of their story. They lack hemoglobin, the pigment that paints most blood red. Instead, their blood is translucent, letting oxygen simply dissolve and travel where it's needed. They move with deliberate grace through the cold, thriving in conditions that would end most vertebrate life. Their biology is a lens into the ingenuity of evolution, a reminder that life is an artist sculpting with whatever tools the environment provides. Beneath the Antarctic ice, an ice fish drifts, pale and resilient, a testament to adaptation itself. On land, termites rise to the challenge of heat. Their mounds, towering up to 30 feet, are not random heaps of dirt, but entire cities breathing with life. Inside, millions of termites cooperate in a vast network of chambers and tunnels engineered for survival. What's most impressive is their ventilation system. Warm air ascends through natural vents, pulling in cooler air from below, a cycle that keeps temperature stable no matter the chaos outside. No blueprints, no architects, just instinct refined by time. It's nature's own climate control system, a triumph of collective design born from tiny minds. Beneath our feet, in the soil's quiet depths, insects have built architecture that rivals human innovation. Then there's the horned lizard, small but fierce in its creativity. When danger approaches, particularly from canine predators, it turns pressure into power. Blood vessels near its eyes burst deliberately, releasing a jet of blood laced with chemicals so bitter that even a hungry predator thinks twice. It's shocking, yes, but effective. The lizard walks away unharmed, its vessels quickly healing. In the grand game of survival, even a drop of blood can become a weapon. Nature, endlessly inventive, reminds us again that life's solutions are limited only by imagination. And if we trace life's story back to its origins, we find ourselves in the ocean's dark heart, before forests, before bones, before eyes. There was heat, pressure, and darkness. Deep beneath the waves, hydrothermal vents poured mineral-rich water into the early sea. Here, in what would seem like hell to us, life took its first breath. Simple, single-celled organisms harnessed energy not from sunlight, but from the chemistry of stone and water. That process, chemosynthesis, may have been the first spark of metabolism. Even today, strange creatures like tube worms and heat-loving microbes cling to those vents, thriving where no light ever reaches. Perhaps, on distant moons like Europa or Enceladus, similar vents cradle their own beginnings of life. If that's true, then existence itself may not need starlight, only the right conditions for chemistry to awaken. In those deep ocean cradles, the planet may still be whispering its first story. And on the ocean floor today, another miracle of persistence crawls slowly across the sand. The starfish, quiet and patient, wears its power and simplicity. Lose an arm to a predator, it simply grows another. Some species can even rebuild their entire bodies from a single limb, provided a fragment of the central disc remains. It's regeneration on a scale that makes us rethink what it means to heal. Within their decentralized nervous systems and networks of stem cells, starfish remind us that even the simplest life forms can rewrite the limits of possibility. The starfish doesn't have what we would call a brain, only a nerve ring and a system of tubes that let it move, sense, and interact with the world around it. It grows with a slow and steady rhythm, rebuilding itself cell by cell. Scientists watch this patient creature to unlock the mysteries of healing and regeneration, hoping one day those lessons might extend to us. In the calm quiet of the reef, the starfish becomes a living demonstration that life can repair itself piece by piece, given time. Now consider the platypus, one of Earth's strangest success stories. It lays eggs, yet it produces milk. It wears the bill of a duck, carries the tail of a beaver, and walks with the webbed feet of an otter. It belongs to an ancient line of monotremes, mammals that break the rules of what mammals are supposed to be. But there are no nipples here. Instead, milk oozes through pores in the skin, and the young drink it straight from the mother's fur. The males even wield venomous spurs on their hind legs. They dive with their eyes closed, guided not by sight but by electricity, sensing the faintest signals of living prey. The platypus is not a prank of nature. Though it feels like one, it is a survivor, a remnant of another time, quietly paddling through Australian streams, soft, elusive, and utterly extraordinary. When night falls, another marvel awakens. Bats take to the sky, not seeing with eyes, but with sound. Through echolocation, they send out rapid, high-pitched calls that bounce off every surface around them, turning the darkness into a three-dimensional map of echoes. They can sense the size, distance, and texture of objects, and even snatch a mosquito out of the air in total darkness. Their precision is astonishing, gliding between branches or through gaps no wider than their wings. Not all bats use this gift, but those that do have mastered the night. They don't see the dark as we do, they hear it, shaping the unseen into a world of sound and motion. In the swamps of the Carolinas, the Venus flytrap waits, still and alert. Its leaves are open jaws, lined with tiny trigger hairs. One touch does nothing, but two touches or one repeated within 20 seconds, and the trap snaps shut in an instant. That pause is intentional, a way to tell raindrops from real prey. It counts, it measures, and then it acts. Once the insect is caught, the trap seals tight, digests its meal, and reopens days later, ready again. It is not a mind, but it is a mechanism of remarkable precision, a plant that feels motion and responds with purpose. Far south, on the rocky shores of Antarctica, courtship takes a simpler but touching form. Penguins, especially Adelie and Gentoo, offer their mates a pebble, smooth and round, as a sign of devotion. The female, if she approves, places it in her nest, and together they build a home stone by stone. These pebble nests keep eggs safe from melting snow and frozen ground. Some penguins steal better stones from their neighbors, but most gestures are honest, small offerings of love carried on the wind and the sound of stone meeting stone. And high above the open sea, where there's no place to land, some birds have learned to rest while flying. Species like the frigate bird and the alpine swift remain aloft for days or even weeks, sleeping with only half their brain at a time. One hemisphere rests while the other stays awake enough to steer and stay safe. Even the eyes take turns staying open. It's not deep sleep, but it's enough. They drift in and out of awareness, suspended on the breeze, balancing motion and rest in a way only nature could design. In that endless sky, even dreams seem to have wings. Inside your skull, a storm of electricity is always at work. Beneath the surface of your thoughts and dreams, your brain flickers with silent fire. Every idea you've ever had, every memory, every emotion begins as a leap of electricity between neurons, a spark bridging the darkness. There are about 86 billion of these neurons in your head, each forming thousands of connections, weaving a vast web of communication that defines who you are. These microscopic surges race through axons, leap across synapses, and organize into patterns that become language, feeling, and choice. But this isn't the electricity that powers your phone or lights your room. It's biological energy guided by ions flowing through molecular gates, fueled by chemistry itself. What emerges is a living storm of thought and light, ever-changing, endlessly dynamic. Even when you sleep, your brain doesn't rest. It hums softly, its low rhythms pulsing beneath your skull, an ocean of waves in the dark. You're not driven by wires or metal, but by sparks, tiny flickers that generate consciousness itself. Now, imagine the cuttlefish, a creature that can vanish before your eyes. This soft-bodied cephalopod can shift the color, texture, and pattern of its skin almost instantly, blending seamlessly with sand, coral, or stone. It does this with a network of cells called chromatophores, iridophores, and leucophores, which expand and contract to sculpt color and shimmer into existence. Here's the astonishing part. Cuttlefish are colorblind. They can't perceive color the way we do, yet they mirror their surroundings with uncanny precision. Many scientists think they rely on patterns of brightness, contrast, and polarization instead. They can even sculpt their skin, raising bumps or flattening themselves to match textures around them. It's not just camouflage, it's communication, hunting, and play, all rolled into one. A single animal, infinite disguises, a living canvas painting itself anew with every heartbeat. Meanwhile, far below the surface, the moon orchestrates one of Earth's most delicate performances. On select nights each year, when the full moon shines, coral reefs awaken. Not with sound, but with life. Across vast stretches of ocean, corals release eggs and sperm into the water at once, creating a synchronized spectacle of reproduction. This lunar time ballet is astonishingly precise. It happens just once a year, perfectly aligned with the moon's gravitational pull, its light, its rhythm, For a brief moment, the ocean fills with drifting potential, a blizzard of new beginnings. Coral spawning is one of nature's grandest reproductive displays. Though corals never move, they still sway in harmony with celestial cycles. In the quiet reef, the moon calls, and life answers. And then there are frogs, those small amphibians that blink their way through dinner. They don't chew, but when they swallow, something extraordinary happens. As they pull prey into their mouths, they blink, pushing their eyes downward into their skulls. This motion presses against the top of the mouth, forcing the meal toward the throat. If you watch closely, you can see it, that slow blink, that gentle squeeze, and then the meal slides down. It's evolution's version of clever improvisation, turning what already exists into something useful. In frogs, even sight is enlisted for digestion. A blink becomes more than a blink, a silent push from behind the eyes. And plants, though rooted and still, have their own ways to communicate. When a hungry caterpillar bites into a leaf, the plant doesn't just endure, it responds. It releases airborne chemicals, invisible messages that warn nearby plants of danger. Those neighbors, in turn, prepare their defenses, crafting bitter compounds, toxins, or tougher leaves. It's a kind of quiet conversation, chemical and unseen, yet powerful in its reach. These messages are even specific, tailored to the kind of threat at hand. In the grand web of life, everything is talking in ways we're only beginning to understand. A tomato plant doesn't just sit quietly when it's under attack, it communicates. When an insect chews on its leaves or a fungus creeps in, the plant sends out a different kind of signal each time. Some scientists think this airborne language evolved as a survival mechanism, a way to warn its kin, giving its relatives a better shot at enduring. So the next time I stroll through a garden or a forest, I remind myself it isn't silent. It's alive with messages, humming in frequencies my ears can't detect. Leaf speaks to leaf. Root connects to root. Some trees have mastered the art of longevity by cloning themselves across the ages. In hidden groves high in Utah or Scandinavia, a single ancient organism stretches beneath the soil, sprouting countless trunks that look like individuals but are, in truth, one life form. The quaking aspen does this, sending roots that push up new stems, creating what seems like a forest, but genetically it's a single being. One such colony named Poe has been alive for about 80,000 years, born when woolly mammoths still walked the earth. Even as trunks fall and decay, the roots continue their quiet work, rising again through centuries. A forest that is also a single organism, patient and persistent. In this continuity, time itself seems to take root. Meanwhile, under our feet, another miracle unfolds. Earthworms, the silent engineers of the soil, labor in darkness. They may look insignificant, slow, and blind, yet their impact is monumental. As they tunnel, they open up the earth, letting air and water circulate, giving roots space to breathe. They consume decaying matter, digest it, and return it, transformed into rich nutrients. This is the foundation of life's grand design, the base upon which forests, farms, and food chains rest. Their ceaseless motion stirs the layers of the earth, blending minerals and organic matter. Darwin once remarked that few creatures have shaped our planet's history as profoundly. Quietly, they sculpt the living world. Every garden, every meadow, owes part of its vitality to their unseen work. Then, there are giraffes, towering sentinels of the savannah, sleeping less than 2 hours a day. Imagine that. Their great height leaves them exposed, vulnerable, so nature equipped them with vigilance. They sleep in short bursts, often standing, sometimes curling their necks into gentle bows for moments of deep rest. Their rest is brief, because danger never sleeps, and somewhere in the group one always keeps watch. Yet despite so little sleep, giraffes remain alert, curious, socially intricate. Science still doesn't fully grasp how they function on such meager rest. But clearly, evolution has tuned their biology to the rhythm of survival. Beneath the African stars, while predators roam, the giraffe dreams, but only for an instant. Life's adaptability never ceases to amaze me. Even plastic, once hailed as eternal, is now being consumed by life. Microbes have evolved to feast on it. Some bacteria and fungi produce enzymes capable of breaking down polyethylene terephthalate, the stuff of bottles and wrappers. Slowly, methodically, they turn it into simpler compounds they can use. These microscopic recyclers live in landfills, soil, even insect guts. Scientists now study their enzymes to engineer large-scale solutions for our waste. It's not a complete fix, but it's a beginning. In the wreckage of our excess, life finds a way, inventing new appetites, new pathways for survival. And far to the north, the Arctic fox wears the seasons as armor. In winter, its fur turns white, vanishing into the snow. And when the world thaws, it shifts to brown or gray, blending with rock and tundra. A living testament to adaptation, its very skin echoes the rhythm of the planet itself. This remarkable adaptation allows it to outwit predators and stalk prey, whether feathered or furred. Its coat, unbelievably dense, keeps the Arctic fox alive through temperatures that can plummet to negative 50 degrees Celsius. Even the bottoms of its feet grow fur, a perfect design for walking on ice. With each passing season, its color shifts, blending with the land itself, a living embodiment of transformation shaped by the rhythm of a turning planet. Beneath the ocean's shimmering surface lies another universe entirely, one that feels more like imagination than reality. Down there, in the cold darkness where sunlight never reaches, the deep sea pulses with life forms so strange they could be from another world. Fish illuminate the abyss with lights sprouting from their heads, jellyfish glow like drifting lanterns, and ghostly crabs move with mechanical precision. Some creatures feed on chemicals spewing from the Earth's crust. Others drift slowly through eternal twilight, shimmering in bioluminescent blues. They endure immense pressure and freezing water, yet they flourish precisely because there is no light. Evolution has written odd scripts for them, granting huge jaws, distorted forms, and even invisibility. We've explored only a fraction of this realm, and what we've seen is breathtaking, a hidden planet beneath our feet, vast, quiet, and teeming with life waiting in darkness. In the skies above, some birds wield tools with the creativity we often reserve for ourselves. While humans and primates are celebrated for invention, ravens, crows, and especially the New Caledonian crowcraft sticks, leaves, even barbs, to draw insects from tight spaces. They're not alone in this brilliance. The green heron drops bait onto water surfaces to tempt fish closer, while the woodpecker finch of the Galapagos wields twigs like forceps. Egyptian vultures hurl stones to shatter ostrich eggs. These birds don't stumble upon tools. They select, modify, and perfect them for specific needs. Some even pass their knowledge to the next generation. This is ingenuity in flight, a revelation that intelligence does not need hands, only a curious mind and wings. Across the deserts of Africa and the Middle East, camels embody resilience. They travel steadily beneath the blazing sun, unhurried and undaunted, able to last weeks without drinking. When water appears, they can drink more than 30 gallons within minutes, but their humps don't hold water as many believe. They store fat, a reserve that provides both energy and, when metabolized, water. Their kidneys conserve every drop, their body temperature shifts to minimize sweating, and their oval blood cells glide smoothly even in dehydration. Every feature is a masterpiece of endurance. Long lashes keep sand away, thick lips handle thorny meals, and broad feet float over dunes. Camels aren't just survivors, they are specialists in scarcity. Even before life begins, communication unfolds in whispers. From within the egg, baby chicks chirp soft rhythmic notes, their first dialogue with the world. These calls guide mothers, prompting them to turn the eggs or respond with gentle clucks. Siblings still encased in shells reply to one another, timing their hatching together. It's a quiet rehearsal for life, syncing heartbeat, breath, and instinct. Scientists suspect these early sounds shape breathing patterns and social awareness. So the egg isn't silent at all. It hums with preparation, alive with tiny voices announcing they're coming before the first crack of light. Insects, too, have their secrets against the cold. Some species, like the Arctic woolly bear moth and the goldenrod gallfly, can survive complete freezing. Their bodies produce cryoprotectants, natural antifreeze compounds that prevent lethal ice crystals from forming inside cells. Once frozen, their metabolism slows to a whisper. They neither move nor feed, yet life persists within. When warmth returns, they thaw and resume as if nothing happened. This isn't sleep, it's suspended animation, one of evolution's most stunning solutions to survival. Within the frozen stillness, life endures, molecule by molecule, waiting patiently for spring. And then there's the polar bear, cloaked in white, an icon of ice and purity. But beneath that dense fur lies a surprising truth. Its skin is black. Their skin is black, a dark canvas perfectly tuned to soak up the sun's warmth in a land that rarely knows mercy. What looks white is not their fur at all, but a trick of light, each strand clear and hollow, scattering sunlight so that it seems bright while still channeling that precious energy down to the skin beneath. It's a masterpiece of design, nature's way of wrapping both camouflage and insulation into one breathtaking form. Polar bears glide through the water with practiced grace, hunters born to the rhythm of ice and sea. Their broad paws act like snowshoes, steady on frozen ground, their pads textured to grip the slick surface. Beneath it all, that dark skin holds tight to every bit of heat it can find. Beauty, yes, but beauty that serves a purpose, engineered by evolution to conquer the cold. Jellyfish can make copies of themselves. They drift like spirits, transparent and slow, yet their stillness hides an astonishing trick. Certain species can clone themselves, especially when they're young and still called polyps. Wounded or split apart, one becomes many, each new life budding from the fragments of the old. Even grown jellyfish can sometimes shed pieces that grow into new beings. It's not reproduction as we know it, but replication, a built-in renewal system. The immortal jellyfish, Turritopsis donai, takes this even further, reversing its age and beginning again, life cycling endlessly in the ocean's pulse. Jellyfish hover between damage and rebirth, ancient and unhurried. In their quiet, life continues, multiplying and reshaping itself with every soft beat of the current. The human body emits a faint glow, dim but real. You shine more than you think. Like many living things, we give off tiny flickers of light, invisible to our eyes. This isn't the bright glow of fireflies or the eerie gleam of deep-sea creatures, but something subtler, born from the chemistry of life itself. As free radicals interact with fats and proteins, they release photons, delicate bursts of light. Scientists with ultra-sensitive cameras have captured this glow, noticing that it rises and falls through the day, brightest in the late afternoon. Our faces shine the most, where metabolism runs hot. The glow is faint, 1,000 times weaker than our vision can detect, yet it's always there, humming softly through our cells. Even in sleep, the body isn't still. It breathes, vibrates, and glows. Some fish can walk on land. The boundary between sea and shore is far more flexible than it appears. Certain fish have learned to cross it. The mudskipper strides on muddy flats, even climbing trees, using its powerful fins like limbs. It breathes through its skin and the lining of its mouth, keeping itself moist to draw in oxygen. The climbing perch from Southeast Asia can live out of water for hours, even days, breathing air and crawling short distances across the ground. Some eels wriggle over damp grass at night, seeking new waters. These acts of movement are more than oddities. They are evolutionary echoes of the first creatures that ventured from the sea to the land. At the border of two worlds, life pushes outward, one fin, one breath, one daring step at a time. Fire ants build rafts out of themselves. When floods invade their colonies, they don't scatter, they unite. Gripping each other with jaws and legs, thousands weave into a living raft that floats effortlessly. Each ant connects to the next, forming a waterproof lattice that carries the queen, the larvae, the entire future of their colony. Air trapped between their bodies keeps them afloat, and when the raft shifts, it flexes and reforms without direction or command. No leader guides them, yet order arises, born from simple rules followed by all. These rafts endure for weeks, living structures of instinct and cooperation. In the chaos of a flood, they transform from a swarm into one organism, patient and unstoppable. A drop of seawater holds a universe. When you touch the ocean, you touch life in miniature. Within a single droplet exist thousands, even millions of tiny beings. Plankton, algae, bacteria, viruses, larvae, all drifting together in a luminous soup. Some shimmer, others sparkle. All are works of art at the microscopic scale. Many glow, some sculpted into forms that look almost alien. They are the foundation of the sea's vast web, feeding everything from corals to whales. In that single drop lies the heartbeat of the ocean itself. These microscopic beings are the unseen architects of Earth's atmosphere, the invisible workforce behind our oxygen, our carbon balance, and even our climate's stability. We almost never notice them, yet they're always at work, drifting with the currents, blooming under sunlight, or retreating into the ocean's depths. Within a single drop of water lies a universe. The sea, when you really look at it, is built of galaxies. And life, astonishingly, can endure where it should not, even in pools of boiling acid. In the blistering realms of volcanic springs, where heat scorches and acid hisses, life persists. Places like the hot pools of Yellowstone or the Danakil Depression in Ethiopia are sanctuaries for extremophiles, microscopic pioneers that flourish where others perish. Some withstand heat beyond boiling, others tolerate acidity strong enough to eat through metal. They don't need sunlight. Instead, they draw power from the earth itself, extracting energy from sulfur, iron, and minerals through chemosynthesis. Their cells carry molecular armor, proteins, and membranes, engineered to survive what should be impossible. These organisms might resemble Earth's earliest ancestors, and perhaps the kind of life that waits for us on distant worlds. In the harshest corners of nature, life does not merely endure, it innovates. It builds a home in fire and sends us a quiet message that wherever conditions permit, life will find a way. Even plants, rooted and still, calculate to survive. When night falls and photosynthesis halts, they must ration their energy precisely. And they do it through a kind of arithmetic. During the day, they craft sugars from light, storing them as starch. At night, they break that starch apart, pacing their consumption until sunrise. Here's the brilliance. They divide their stored energy by the hours of darkness ahead, ensuring neither waste nor starvation. This is not thought in the human sense, but a biochemical logic of extraordinary precision. Inside every leaf, silent equations unfold. And every night, without eyes or consciousness, the plant makes a plan. Even in sleep, life calculates. Owls, meanwhile, master the physics of silence. When one glides through the night, the air remains undisturbed, as if it moves through another dimension. Evolution refined its wings into instruments of quiet, with soft feather edges that disrupt turbulence and a velvety surface that hushes every sound. Even the spacing between feathers is tuned to erase noise. This spectral silence allows the owl to pinpoint the faintest whisper of a mouse beneath snow or leaves. Other birds flap, whistle, and stir the air. But the owl passes like a shadow with purpose, a ghost of feathers, heard only when it wishes to announce itself. And then there are worms that defy destruction, cut most creatures in half and they die. But certain flatworms, the planarians, can regenerate their entire bodies from mere fragments. Slice one into pieces and each grows into a new being, whole and alive. This power comes from a special group of stem cells, the neoblasts, capable of becoming any cell the body requires. They rebuild tissue, organs, even the brain. Scientists study them not just for wonder, but to uncover the secrets of regeneration, the blueprint that might one day heal us. In the quiet pools they inhabit, these worms drift and divide, returning to wholeness again and again. Life refusing to surrender. And as ordinary as pigeons may seem, fluttering through city streets, they carry minds sharper than we imagine. Research shows they recognize individual human faces, remembering who offered food and who did not. Even if we change clothes, they still know us. Their visual memory is astonishing, powerful enough to navigate vast distances, and even tell apart artistic styles or written words in laboratory experiments. Behind those small eyes lies a mind tuned to the world, one that studies us as much as we study them. Once trained, certain pigeons can categorize objects or grasp sequences, skills once credited only to primates. Amid the clamor of city life, they fade into the scenery. Yet they watch, they recall, they learn. The skyline is their wilderness, and you may already be a familiar figure to them. Within your body, ancient viruses still whisper. Inside every cell lies a record of survival, not only of your ancestors, but of infections long past. About 8% of your DNA originates from retroviruses that once invaded the cells of ancient humans. These viral genes fused with reproductive cells, embedding their code into ours forever. Over eons, some of those sequences lost their power and fell silent. But others found new purpose through evolution, coding instructions for building the brain or forming the placenta. In a profound sense, you are part virus, not infected but sculpted by the genomic ghosts of ancient struggles now woven into your very design. The human body is no single narrative. It's a vast archive of endurance written by creatures that time itself has nearly erased. The planet's largest organism doesn't move, doesn't roar, doesn't gleam under the sunday. It's a fungus quietly thriving beneath an Oregon forest. This armillaria stretches unseen for more than 2,000 acres, a living web of mycelium intertwining with roots below. It may be thousands of years old. Above ground, it sprouts mushrooms only occasionally, a faint signal from the depths. The true being exists in the dark, feeding, connecting, linking trees through silent threads. It isn't fast, or loud, or majestic, but by the measures of size, age, and reach, it stands alone. Beneath your feet lies a world older and vaster than the one above. Bees, too, can learn by watching. They are not merely industrious, they are ingenious. In one experiment, scientists taught bees to roll tiny balls into a target to earn a sugary treat. Other bees observed and quickly replicated the feat, even refining the method for efficiency. This ability to learn through observation, once thought rare outside birds and primates, shows that even a small brain can house remarkable flexibility. Within the hive, knowledge moves like honey, not spoken but demonstrated. The hum of wings carries not just pollen, but innovation itself. Some fish rest with half their brain awake. Sleep may be universal, but its form varies wildly. Parrotfish and certain sharks exhibit unihemispheric sleep, where only one brain hemisphere slumbers while the other stays alert, steering and scanning the surroundings. This split vigilance lets them rest while keeping an eye on predators and currents. Dolphins and whales share this adaptation, sleeping one side at a time so they can breathe and float safely. Beneath the waves, sleep is never total. It is a truce between recovery and survival. Even when the sea dreams, part of it remains awake. Chameleons change color not merely to vanish, but to express. Their hues mirror emotion, temperature, and social cues. Calm brings greens and browns. confrontation, desire, or display, ignite yellows, blues, and reds. These transformations aren't made by pigments, but by adjusting nanoscopic crystals in their skin that scatter light in new ways, turning biology into physics. Their shifting shades speak volumes, from warnings to invitations to surrender. The forest becomes a theater, their skin, the dialogue, camouflage becomes conversation. The Earth's magnetic field guides migrations across the planet. Invisible lines of force sweep from pole to pole, and life can feel them. Sea turtles navigate by magnetic landmarks to return to the sands where they began. Robins, warblers, and countless birds traverse continents with an inner compass. Salmon journey from the ocean back to the exact stream of their birth. Even insects and microbes align with these unseen maps. How they do it remains a scientific mystery. It may be due to crystals of magnetite embedded in their tissues or light-sensitive molecules within their eyes. But one truth stands clear. The planet itself whispers direction to those who listen. The Earth doesn't just exist, it speaks, and if we're listening closely enough, we can hear it giving directions. Life, in response, keeps finding new beginnings. Through cataclysms, extinctions, and the wild improbabilities of the cosmos, it has never surrendered. From the fiery vents of the deep ocean, it rose, then stretched itself across continents, took to the air, plunged into the depths, tunneled through the soil, and reached for the sky. It adapted to every challenge: cold, heat, acid, vacuum, even time itself. Each time life seemed trapped, it reinvented itself with feathers, fur, armor, and thought. It engineered coral reefs, wove roots into networks, built nests, and later cities. Even now, in the darkest caves, the saltiest lakes, and the most blistering springs, life begins anew, again and again. Imperfect, sometimes rough, yet endlessly determined, within you, within me, in every leaf, breath, and cell. The grand experiment continues, the cosmic story still unfolding. And as the final piece of understanding slips quietly into place, let the world hush around you. Together we've wandered through oceans and forests, deserts and ice, mountains and ancient roots. We've listened to the whispers of trees, the luminescent dialogues of jellyfish, the resonant songs of whales. Beneath all of it, one truth hums softly through the fabric of existence. Life is extraordinary, not for its flawlessness, but for its persistence. It bends, it endures, and it keeps astonishing us. Somewhere right now, coral releases its eggs into darkness. A bird dreams mid-flight, and a flower counts the gentle steps of a bee. You are part of this continuum too. Not apart from nature, but composed of it. Molecules and motion, memory, and energy, a strand in the vast pattern of Earth. So wherever you are, let your mind ease, your breath slow, your thoughts soften at the edges. The journey doesn't end here. It merely pauses, waiting for curiosity to awaken once more. Sleep well, and thank you for dreaming with us.